now for your sports news with NTD's Dave Martin. Dave, plenty going on. We've got NFL, some baseball news, but let's start in college basketball as federal prosecutors today have alleged another sports betting scandal. This one involves more than a dozen players, while taking place over the past couple of seasons. Where did the scheme allegedly start?
Yeah, another day, another sports betting scandal here. Now, they allege this one actually started in the Chinese Basketball Associations back in 2023 with outside fixers, as they call them, winning there and then moving this same scheme over to the United States for college basketball. Now, they said this alleged scheme was basically the fixers recruiting players, giving them money in exchange for purposely, not playing well in a certain game. And then the fixers would bet against those players' teams, knowing that they would not be at their best. Now, this scheme involved, at this point, at least 39 players on 17 different college basketball teams, rigging the outcome of at least 29 games. Now, they said this is ongoing, so these numbers could be updated eventually. They said this involves some teams in big conferences like the Big East and the Atlantic 10, but none of the Power 4 conferences, though, were actually mentioned. They actually gave some details to it, how they enticed some of these players, sending them photos of stacks of cash to kind of entice them. Prosecutors say the charges range from bribery, wire fraud, and conspiracy. And like I said, the investigation is still ongoing. So we've had the baseball one, we've had the NBA one, now the college basketball one. Nothing from the NFL yet, anyway.
Yet. Well, you were actually in the courtroom today. What was that like?
Yeah, I was in the courtroom for the baseball fraud case. Yeah, that we just mentioned with the two baseball players there, and then. Yeah, we were. It was a status conference, so nothing big was going on there. The two players have already pled not guilty. The trial doesn't actually start until May, so there were no major fireworks going on today. But both of those players were there today, so it was kind of interesting anyway to see them in the courtroom. Anyway, I'll say that. And it was nice and cool outside the courtroom, I can tell you that.
It is very cold today. As you were pointing out, though, this is the third major sports betting case that's been unveiled over the past few months. One of the others involved a pair of Major League Baseball players, as you were just saying there. Have prosecutors commented on whether these cases are related? Yeah,
they were actually asked about that. Prosecutors said they weren't aware of any relation with the baseball betting scandal and this NCAA basketball scandal. Now, the baseball scandal kind of alleges different kinds of bets, maybe prop bets, that whether the pitch was going to be a ball or a strike, or what speed it was going to be at, or, where a certain pitch would be located, ball or strike. It really called the game within the game. Now, the college basketball scheme alleges just the winner of the game and whether they beat the point spread or not. But back to the baseball case, those players, they're essentially really on double trial right now. You've got the federal prosecutor's case against them, but surely Major League Baseball is doing their own investigation. It's going to be completely independent, I'm sure, from whatever the federal prosecutors find over the outcome of that case. I mean, even if there's a chance that even if they're found innocent in this actually trial, that baseball could still find evidence to say you violated the integrity of the game. And we've seen what's happened in the past. Pete Rose, maybe the most famous case in the late 80s, getting banned for betting on sports, and he was banned for life, couldn't play, couldn't coach, couldn't be involved in any Major League Baseball team, wasn't even eligible for the Hall of Fame. So it's a big deal, of course. It's two big deals they've really got going on here, I know.
And on that note, is there more sense of the impact of this? Like, is there that lack of trust now developing in different teams, perhaps?
I would certainly think so. After the first one, that NBA one, I remember someone asked me that, and I thought, well, this is only a few players. It didn't really seem that bad, and actually two of them were coaches at the time. Then, 2 weeks later, we had the Major League Baseball one involving a couple of players. Now we've got this basketball, and we had an inkling of this was coming because there was a couple months ago, two players were already charged, and I think they were actually part of this investigation. So I would say that it's probably safe to say that, there is a significant amount of doubt going on right now. Of course, the Supreme Court made sports betting legal in 2018. They actually made it a state right back then. That was 2018, so 7 years ago. So it's not unreasonable to think that was probably part of this, too, I would think.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of money on the line, as we always like to say here. Speaking of money, shifting gears to the NFL now, multiple outlets are reporting that the New York Giants are expected to hire John Harbaugh as their next head coach.
Yes, they would do well to get John Harbaugh. I'm still shocked the Ravens let go of him. Apparently, a lot of NFL teams were interested in Harbaugh. Now, his agent said 45 minutes after Harbaugh was fired from the Ravens, they got 7 calls from teams, inquiring about hiring him. Meanwhile, at the time, there were only 6 head coach openings. So maybe someone with a coach already under contract was reaching out. Who knows? But because of that demand, it is reasonable to think that Harbaugh has kind of been able to pick and choose here the best fit for him. The Giants would certainly be attractive because they got a very good young quarterback in Jackson Dart. They've got some good skill players there on offense as well and on defense. Plus, they'll have another high draft pick in this year's draft, the 5th overall pick. In any case, though, this has not yet been confirmed by the team or the coach. So it's still sources say at this point.
And sources are saying it also comes with a giant paycheck.
Yeah, I saw that. 5 years, $100 million. I mean, he'd be like the 3rd highest person on the whole team, which is somewhat rare for these sports. I mean, most of them are most players are getting paid a ton of money, obviously. I was very surprised to see that, though. So, again, allegedly. But we saw what allegedly happened because that Anthony Davis news that we were talking about Tuesday. We then had to correct the next day because apparently another doctor said, you know what, you can go without the surgery. At least that's what I got from ESPN anyway.
We'll see if these sources are right.
So I think these are right. I'm going to trust them.
While looking at the NFL's playoffs, the Seattle Seahawks have suddenly listed quarterback Sam Darnold as questionable for Saturday's game against San Francisco. What happened here?
I'm asking that question myself, too. I mean, this is definitely something new. Darnold was not on the injury report on Tuesday or Wednesday. Today, he's suddenly questionable with an oblique injury. Now, maybe he suffered it in practice. We don't know yet. But this would be a major problem for Seattle if he could not play against the 49ers Saturday in the playoffs. Now, he hasn't missed a game this year or last year. Seahawks do have Drew Lock as his backup. He's attempted just 3 passes this season. Darnold, meanwhile, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He was named to the Pro Bowl this year, ranked in the top 10 in several statistical categories. Now, on the other side of the field, the San Francisco 49ers will not be able to activate All-Pro linebacker Fred Warner for Saturday's game. Warner had been on injured reserve really for most of the season. He's only played in 6 of the 17 games with an ankle injury. He was listed as a limited participant in practice this week on Wednesday, so it would seem he's getting closer to returning, but they don't feel he's quite there yet. So a big loss possibly for both teams here, but I think it'll still be a good game too.
Does that up the odds in favor of any of the teams to win?
If Seattle does not have Sam Darnold at quarterback, it completely changes it. I mean, quarterback is the most crucial position, and no team has like 2 good quarterbacks. You couldn't afford really 2 good quarterbacks, and you wouldn't take, if you already have a good quarterback, there's no way you'd take a first-round pick on one there too. So yes, I would say that would certainly affect it, Tiff, in my opinion. So questionable, that usually means 50-50, so we'll see what happens. But it is very concerning that all of a sudden this just came up right now. Maybe it was a delayed reaction to an injury Sunday. I don't know. I've never actually heard of that happening, but possibly it could be. Who knows?
Thinking we need a new chart behind you to start listing injuries for all the sports.
Oblique, ACL, yes. If you follow sports, you get to know a lot of these medical terms a lot. Whether you actually know what that means, though, it might be a whole different thing. I can at least list them. Where the oblique is, I'm not quite sure on that, though. It's stomach area, is that right?
Well, we'll also put up a human body behind you, a diagram.
Maybe we'll bring on a medical doctor with me here to correct every time I'm wrong. That would be fun.
We can have a new segment.
Yeah, what Dave got wrong
here. Sports and medical analysis.
Dr. Drew up here. That would be funny.
Anyway, Dave, as always, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, too.